Well, welcome to another episode of The Pursuit. I'm Pastor Rick here with Pastor Harper, and we know that some of you have been meeting already in groups, but we know there's also some new groups that have just recently started, so welcome to The Pursuit. We do a typical, just a thing every time, just to break the ice. We call it an icebreaker.
No,
and if
verbal
you
copyright.
Right. If you want to go back and look at some previous episodes to see how bad these have gotten, those are fun. But what we've done is we have spent money and ordered a ice-breaking question jar.
That's exactly
I think
correct.
that's how it come. That's how it came in Amazon.
Yeah, that's how they advertise it.
That's right. So
Harper's rolls right off the tongue.
Harper's going to ask the question now and stop with the smart comments, and we're going to get right to this.
I'm going to speak on his level now.
That's right. Are words hard, Harper? Flip it around. Flip it around.
Okay, so there's two I'm trying to go with.
Okay. Go with the one that just made you laugh.
Describe what you think is under your bed right now.
Oh, that's a good question. So currently at this moment.
Currently.
All right, so I'm probably going to guess a couple things. Number one, there's probably a pair of Nike flip-flops under there because I keep them there, and I put them there so I don't forget them, and then I'm always having to ask my wife, where are my flip-flops? And then
Where is my super suit?
And I have to find them, yeah. I'm going to assume dust bunnies, not because we're horrible people, but who cleans under their bed?
Yeah.
Now, you might be listening going, I do. And, okay. And then there are probably I have like a little bit of I have like a bedside table that I put my glasses and I put my my cell phone on because it serves as my alarm clock. And so there's probably like a charging cord there too.
No.
And probably some of the stuff I've been missing, and I'm probably blamed on the kids that they took, and it's just there.
Yeah.
What about you?
So under our bed, I know we have duffel bags because that's what we always grab and pack whenever we're going somewhere, and so they're
not pre-packed like escape bags.
Not pre-packed, no. But we've got them all in there, consolidated to save room, obviously.
Yeah.
I know we've got a plastic container or something where you can put stuff, and it's a slim one, so it'll. And I don't know what's in there, honestly. No idea. I'm sure there's a spare sock under there.
Yeah.
The sock you always lose. You always blame the dryer, but I bet it's the bed.
Yeah,
I bet it's under the bed.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, a hanger.
I mean, you're really specific. Like you went down there and looked today.
I go down. I mean, we just traveled a week ago, so I know I had to get down there and get the duffel bag. Okay. So yeah, I'd say that, and sometimes my glasses are under there too, but yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, you're getting real personal with your group now because now they're going to know where you keep important stuff and that you're a messy person. So take some time right now with your group to discuss what you think is currently under your bed. Now, if you are there with your spouse, this could be a fun kind of almost like the old
Who Gets It Right?
Newlywed game where like, hey, she asks a question and hopefully you might get the same question. And let's see how that would work. Maybe we could split it up and see if they get the same answer.
And then run home real quick and check and come back and let them
Now,
know.
if you're at your home, you can't cheat. You can't go back there and look now. Or you can just take a group back there and look at this moment in time. That could be fun.
Inspect it.
But take some time right now with your group to discuss what do you think could possibly be under your bed right now.
So sorry. We are so sorry.
Okay, in Pastor Kivett's sermon this week, as he is continuing the discussion on the armor of God, we're at the helmet of salvation. And before we get into that, I did appreciate his teaching his boys those little wrestling skills. If you control the head, you control the man. I had someone come up to me, it was like a younger kid. It's like, oh, I'd love to wrestle all four of his boys. And I had to make the statement, I think they'd kill you because he's apparently trained them well.
Absolutely,
Yeah, and I'm kind of terrified at the same time. But at the same time, he talked about that idea of you control the head, you control the man in the idea of the helmet of salvation. Now, he mentioned from this video or from this discussion, he said that it's more about not just being a Christian, but you need to think like a Christian. So I thought we could ask our groups at home, why the distinction? Why do we feel like the distinction is necessary from being a Christian and thinking like a Christian?
Yeah, because there's definitely that, again, we would say, yes, we are Christians, but what is it? We are aware of the difference, but what is it? Or what steps are there, or what identifiers are there that distinguish between the two? That'd be good to dive into.
And it could be something as simple as, I mean, you could bring up an illustration. It could be, how does it affect your day-to-day life? How does it affect your place of employment? How does it affect you with your family? How does it affect you on the roads?
Yeah.
Things like that. So take some time right now with your group to discuss why the need for the distinction of being a Christian and thinking like a Christian.
All right, so Pastor Kivett went on to talk about our new identity as Christians and what that looks like. And then he talks about how the enemy's goal is to really kind of attack, one of their goals at least, is to attack your mind.
Yeah.
And he said this statement about what the brain is to the body, the mind is to the soul. And so your mind has to be protected against your enemy's blows. And so thinking of that, there is a spiritual battle with your mind, many times from Satan or demons or whatever, or whether it's ourselves attacking and kind of these thoughts that, again, they're not visible, but unconsciously kind of having those attacks. So as we're talking about this, the mind plays such an important role, like what we talked about just previously. And so how do we then protect our minds? And that's the kind of the next question we want to talk about is how do we protect our minds as Christians against these attacks?
Yeah, and I think sometimes our listeners may hear this and go, oh, we're talking about purity, because that's something that we often hear. I think it's across the board here. I think sometimes we have to guard our minds against wrong ideas about who God is and what He's like, or guarding our minds against seeing other people in negative lights that they don't deserve to be seen in.
Right.
I think this is more than just, hey, I'm guarding my mind by keeping it pure sexually or whatever. Yeah. It's more than that. And so what do we do to safeguard? If I can help out our group for one, if I'm not careful, I can believe the worst in someone because maybe they say something to me that I don't like. Yeah. So I begin to assume the worst in them. What helps me to guard my mind there is I need to see this person not as they're an attacker or an enemy, but they have a legitimate concern. I need to put myself in their shoes and think how they're thinking. That helps me guard my mind against any negative feelings towards them.
Yeah, and that's good because I heard somebody recently say this, assume that they are doing the best even though they're going through the worst.
Right.
And so, again, that idea of assuming the best, because automatically, our mind does typically default to the worst possible outcome. And if you stop and think, wait a second, what other possibilities are there? What is the context that could be all these other circumstances and things that could have led up to this? Is there another point of view? Possibly, right? Yeah. And it changes your mind. So how do you protect your mind? Talk about this with your group right now.
Well, continuing on in the idea of guarding your mind and thinking new thoughts and understanding how Christ sees us, Pastor Kivett shared with us about what it means to be in Christ or to understand our new identity in Christ. He mentioned 6 things. He said, I am alive, I am justified, I am adopted, I am secure, I am free, and I am unfinished. And as he was sharing that list, I thought, which of these sticks out the most to me? Like I'm looking at this list going, ooh, this one sticks out the most to me, but depending on the day, which I think is neat, which I thought was kind of cool about that. So what I thought we could do is share with our group and have them share, and this be really the bulk of the time of your small group, is to take the time to share with one another which of these 6 things sticks out to you the most or means the most to you.
Yeah, again, like you said, it's kind of personalized, and even for a single person, even in a given day, you could go through several of these that kind of fluctuate. And so there are certain things that that maybe stand out on a more regular basis, or I really need to be reminded of this because, as we said, again, the enemy tries to attack our minds, and so a lot of times our identity is what's brought up. Did God really say this? Is this really who you are? But remember what you did. How can you do this? How can you? And so there's so many things. And so as we kind of saturate our minds with the gospel here and pay attention to who God says we are, that is another way of kind of protecting our minds even.
Yeah, and this is really multifaceted. This is where a time with your group, you're really going to get to know each other. What you're going to find is the thing that you value the most in that list is probably the thing that you wrestle with the most. You know, I would think, as I'm looking at this list going, man, a person who has grown up feeling like they don't measure up, and they, you know, they're always second place, so I was coming in third or fourth, they're going to hear, I'm secure, and go, that's what I'm looking for. Or you may even have a person who struggles with their own, you know, they have those inner desires of perfection, the inner perfectionist that keeps up. They're going to love to hear I'm unfinished. And so you're going to really get to know your small group this way. So take some time right now with your group to discuss which of these aspects of your identity in Christ sticks out to you the most. Well, thank you for joining us on another episode of The Pursuit. As always, you can go back and watch previous episodes of The Pursuit by clicking the link provided on the screen.
Yeah, and if you go back to our page or click on this screen, you can find this past Sunday's sermon, as well as other sermon videos you can go back to watch. Also, if you subscribe to our channel, you'll get all the videos we post as soon as we upload them. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.